the vast tapestry of Hindu mythology, there exist beings who transcend the boundaries of mortal life. These are the Chiranjivis, the immortals. 7 souls who walk among us still, blessed or cursed with eternal existence, each carrying their own unique story through the ages. There is an ancient verse that names them Ashwatthama, Balir Vyasa Hanumanash, Ja Vibhishana, Kripacharya Ja Parashurama, Saptaita Chiranjivanam. Ashwatthama, Bali, Vyasa, Hanuman, Vibhishana, Kripacharya, and Parashurama. These 7 are the immortals. Tonight, let us journey through their stories, tales of devotion, wisdom, sacrifice, and the eternal dance between Dharma and destiny. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let these ancient narratives carry you into peaceful rest. Hanuman, the eternal devotee. Our first immortal is perhaps the most beloved. Hanuman, the mighty Vanara, the eternal servant of Lord Rama. Long ago, before time had learned to count the ages, there lived a Vanara named Anjana. She was devoted and pure of heart, and through her prayers to Lord Shiva, she was blessed with a son. But this was no ordinary child. When the wind god Vayu carried the divine essence into her womb, a being of tremendous power and devotion was born. The infant Hanuman saw the rising sun one morning, and mistaking it for a ripe mango, leapt into the sky to catch it. Indra, the king of gods, struck the child down with his thunderbolt, injuring Hanuman's jaw. Enraged, Vayu withdrew all air from the universe. The gods, desperate, blessed the child with various boons, immortality, immense strength, and the power to assume any form. But it was not power that made Hanuman immortal in our hearts. It was devotion. When Lord Rama, the 7th avatar of Vishnu, walked the earth, Hanuman became his most faithful servant. In the great epic of the Ramayana, when Rama's beloved Sita was abducted by the demon king Ravana, it was Hanuman who leapt across the ocean to Lanka. It was Hanuman who found Sita in the Ashoka Grove. It was Hanuman who brought the entire mountain of healing herbs when Rama's brother Lakshmana lay dying. Rama, pleased with Hanuman's devotion, granted him a boon. Hanuman asked only this, that he might live as long as Rama's name is spoken on earth, so that he could continue to serve and hear tales of his beloved Lord. And so Hanuman lives still. It is said that whenever the Ramayana is recited, wherever Rama's name is sung, Hanuman is present, listening with tears of devotion streaming down his face. He is the symbol of perfect bhakti, selfless love, and unwavering faith, in temples across the land, in the rustling of leaves when the wind blows, in the strength of those who serve others. There is Hanuman, eternal and devoted, reminding us that true immortality lies in love. Parashurama, the warrior sage. Our second immortal carries an axe and a burden. He is Parashurama, the 6th avatar of Lord Vishnu himself, the warrior sage who walks the earth still. Parashurama was born as the son of the sage Jamadagni and Renika. He was a Brahmin by birth, but a warrior by destiny. From a young age he mastered the arts of warfare, receiving his famous axe, the Parashu, from Lord Shiva himself after years of penance and devotion. The story that defines Parashurama begins with his father's death. King Kartavirya Arjuna, a powerful kshatriya with 1,000 arms, visited the hermitage of Jamadagni. The sage, through divine powers, provided a magnificent feast for the king and his army. The king, amazed by this power, demanded the wish-fulfilling cow that had made it possible. When Jamadagni refused, Kartavirya stole the cow by force. Later he returned and murdered the sage. When Parashurama discovered his father's body, Rage like divine fire consumed him. He took a vow to rid the earth of corrupt and tyrannical Kshatriyas. 21 times he circled the earth. 21 times he cleared it of oppressive warrior kings. The warrior sage became an instrument of divine justice, terrible and absolute. But violence, even righteous violence, leaves scars upon the soul. After fulfilling his vow, Parashurama performed penance for the blood he had shed. He donated all the lands he had conquered to the sages and retreated to the mountains to meditate. Yet he was granted immortality, destined to remain until the end of this age, the Kali Yuga. He appears in the epics as a teacher. He trained Bhishma, Drona, and even Karna in the arts of war. When Rama, the seventh avatar, appeared, Parashurama challenged him, only to recognize the divine and surrender his mission. Parashurama represents the complexity of Dharma, the necessity of action, the burden of violence, and the eternal quest for balance between the warrior and the sage within us all. He reminds us that even immortals must live with the consequences of their choices. Somewhere in the Mahendra mountains, it is said, Parashurama still meditates, the warrior sage eternal, waiting for the final age to end. Vyasa, the eternal sage. The third immortal gave us the stories themselves. He is Vyasa, the sage who compiled the Vedas, who composed the Mahabharata, who organized the infinite wisdom of the ages so that we might understand. Vyasa was born as Krishna Dvaipayana, the son of the sage Parashara and the fisherwoman Satyavati. Born on an island in the river Yamuna, his skin dark as storm clouds, he was destined for greatness from the moment he drew breath. From a young age, Vyasa possessed wisdom that seemed to come from beyond time itself. He could see the patterns of the ages, understand the flow of Dharma through the cosmos. When he came of age, he undertook a task of monumental importance. The Vedas, the ancient hymns and knowledge, had been passed down orally through generations. Vyasa saw that the memory of mankind was fading, that the sacred knowledge might be lost. So he divided and organized the Vedas into 4 parts: Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva, so they might be preserved and understood. But his greatest work was yet to come. Vyasa witnessed the great war of the Mahabharata. Indeed, he was intimately connected to it, the grandfather of both the Pandavas and Kauravas. Through complex circumstances of dharma and duty, he saw the destruction, the tragedy, the terrible glory of that great conflict, and so he composed an epic, not just a story of war, but a vast ocean of wisdom, containing philosophy, ethics, politics, theology, everything human and divine. The Mahabharata is called the 5th Veda, and within it sits the Bhagavad Gita, perhaps the most profound spiritual dialogue ever recorded. It is said that Vyasa dictated this epic to Lord Ganesha himself, who wrote it down with his broken tusk. The condition was that Vyasa would speak without pause, and Ganesha would write without stopping. But Ganesha added that he would only write what he understood. So Vyasa composed the text with multiple layers of meaning, some verses so complex that even the wise Ganesha had to pause to contemplate them, giving Vyasa time to think of what came next. Vyasa was granted immortality to serve as a guide through the ages. He appears when the world needs wisdom, when Dharma needs clarification. He is the eternal teacher, the keeper of knowledge, the one who ensures that truth is never lost. In every book that teaches, in every story that enlightens, in every moment of understanding, there is the essence of Vyasa. preserving, forever illuminating the path. Vibhishana, the righteous brother. The fourth immortal teaches us that righteousness sometimes means standing alone, even against family. He is Vibhishana, the demon who chose Dharma over blood. Vibhishana was born a Rakshasa, a demon, the younger brother of the great Ravana, the 10-headed king of Lanka. Along with their brother Kumbhakarna, they performed severe penance to Lord Brahma, where Ravana asked for power and near invincibility. Vibhishana asked for something quite different. He asked that his mind might always dwell on righteousness, that even though he was born a demon, he might walk the path of Dharma. Brahma, pleased with this unusual request from a Rakshasa, granted him the boon, and more. He blessed Vibhishana with immortality. As Ravana's power grew, so did his arrogance. When he abducted Sita, the wife of Lord Rama, Vibhishana was troubled. He knew this was adharma, unrighteousness. He approached his brother repeatedly, counseling him, pleading with him to return Sita and seek Rama's forgiveness. But Ravana, drunk on power and desire, refused. He mocked Vibhishana, questioned his loyalty, and cast doubts upon his courage, and so Vibhishana faced the hardest choice: loyalty to family or loyalty to truth. He chose truth. Leaving Lanka, leaving everything he had known, Vibhishana crossed over to Rama's side. Many in Rama's camp distrusted him. How could a demon, a brother of their enemy, be genuine? But Rama, in his infinite wisdom and compassion, saw the purity of Vibhishana's heart and accepted him. Vibhishana provided crucial intelligence that helped Rama's army. He guided them through Lanka's defences. When Ravana fell in battle, Rama installed Vibhishana as the king of Lanka, rewarding his righteousness with a kingdom. But more than a kingdom, Rama gave him a blessing, that Vibhishana would rule Lanka forever, an immortal king, a demon transformed by Dharma into an example for all beings. Vibhishana shows us that our birth, our family, our circumstances, none of these define us as much as our choices. Righteousness may demand sacrifice. It may demand that we stand alone. But it is the only path to true peace. In Lanka, it is said, Vibhishana still rules, the righteous demon king, eternal reminder that Dharma transcends all boundaries. Kripacharya, the eternal teacher. Our fifth immortal is often overlooked, quiet and humble, yet eternally important. He is Kripacharya, the teacher, the one who instructed both sides of the Great War. Kripacharya's story begins with compassion. He and his twin sister Kripi were born in unusual circumstances, abandoned in the forest as infants. King Shantanu of Hastinapura, while hunting, discovered the children and, moved by Kripa, compassion, took them in and raised them. Thus the boy was named Kripacharya, born of compassion. Kripacharya grew to become a master of weapons and warfare, despite never seeking glory or recognition. When Dronakarya arrived in Hastinapura, Kripacharya welcomed him and even gave him his sister, Kripi, in marriage. Where others might feel jealousy or competition, Kripacharya felt only joy that a great teacher had arrived. He became the royal teacher, instructing the Kaurava and Pandava princes in the arts of war and dharma. Patient, fair, and wise, he treated all his students equally, never favouring one side over another. When the great war of Kurukshetra came, Kripacharya found himself in an impossible position. Both sides were his students. Both sides were right in some ways, wrong in others. Yet duty demanded he choose, and he fought on the side of the Kauravas, loyal to the throne served. He witnessed the destruction of nearly everyone he had ever taught. He saw his students, his colleagues, his friends, all fall in that terrible war. When the dust settled and the blood soaked into the earth, Kripacharya was one of the very few survivors. Some say his immortality is a blessing, a reward for his fairness and dharma. Others whisper it is a curse, condemned to remember forever the students he taught, the war that consumed them, the tragedy that dharma sometimes demands. But Kripacharya accepted his fate with grace. He became the teacher of the next generation, guiding Parikshit, the grandson of the Pandavas. He carried forward the knowledge, the wisdom, the lessons, both the glory and the sorrow. Kripacharya reminds us that true teaching is eternal, that compassion Kripa is the foundation of wisdom, that even in the midst of tragedy, the duty to guide, to teach, to pass on knowledge continues. Somewhere, perhaps, Kripacharya still teaches. The eternal guru, patient and kind, ensuring that wisdom survives even when everything else fades. Ashwatthama, the cursed warrior. The sixth immortal carries the darkest burden. His is not a blessing, but a curse. He is Ashwatthama, condemned to wander the earth in pain, forever, a warning about the consequences of rage and unrighteous action. Ashwatthama was born with a divine gem embedded in his forehead, a gift from Lord Shiva. This gem made him stronger than ordinary mortals, protected him from disease and hunger and weapons. He was the son of Dronacharya, the great teacher, and grew up alongside the Pandavas and Kauravas, his father's students. Like his father, Ashwatthama was a formidable warrior. He fought in the great war of Kurukshetra on the side of the Kauravas. When his father, Drona, was killed through deception, when the Pandavas spread the lie that Ashwatthama had died, causing Drona to lay down his weapons in grief, something broke inside the young warrior. His father, his teacher, his guide, killed through trickery. The rage that filled Ashwatthama was like poison spreading through his veins. The war ended. The Kauravas had fallen. By all rules of Dharma, the war was over. But Ashwatthama could not let go of his rage. On the night after the war ended, he crept into the Pandava camp. While warriors and soldiers slept, exhausted from battle, Ashwatthama moved through the darkness like death itself. He killed the 5 sons of Draupadi, young men who had committed no crime except being born to the other side. He killed soldiers who had surrendered their weapons. He killed in darkness and stealth, without honor, without dharma. When the Pandavas discovered what had happened, their grief turned to fury. But it was Lord Krishna who pronounced the judgment. For his unrighteous actions, for killing children, for attacking the defenseless, Ashwatthama would be cursed. Krishna demanded the divine gem from Ashwatthama's forehead. When it was torn away, it left a wound that would never heal. And then came the curse. Ashwatthama would be immortal, yes, but his immortality would be suffering. He would wander the earth for thousands of years, his wound constantly bleeding, his body covered in sores, in pain and isolation, unable to find death, unable to find peace. No one would offer him shelter, no medicine would heal his wounds. He would be a pariah, an outcast, wandering alone through the ages. And so Ashwatthama walks still, they say. Some claim to have seen him in desolate places, a figure wandering, trying to find temples where he might pray for forgiveness, for release. But the curse holds. The wound still bleeds. Ashwatthama's tale is a tragic one. He was a great warrior, capable of noble deeds, but in his moment of deepest pain, he destroys not just others, but ourselves, that immortality without peace is the cruelest curse of all. In the lonely places of the world, in the shadows at the edge of firelight, perhaps Ashwatthama still wanders, the warrior who cannot die, cannot rest, eternal prisoner of his own choices. Mahabali, the benevolent king. Our seventh and final immortal was not a god, but a demon. Yet he was so righteous, so beloved, that even the gods had to acknowledge his greatness. He is Mahabali, the Asura king who ruled with such justice that heaven itself grew envious. Mahabali was born into the lineage of demons, grandson of Prahlada, the great devotee of Vishnu. Like his grandfather, Mahabali was devoted to Dharma and truth, despite being born an Asura. Through severe penance and righteous rule, he became the emperor of all three worlds. And what an emperor he was! Under Mahabali's reign, there was no poverty, no crime, no suffering. Everyone spoke the truth. No one locked their doors. Children played without fear. The elderly were honoured. The land yielded abundant crops. Rivers flowed pure and clean. It was, in every sense, a golden age. Mahabali was generous beyond measure. Any who asked of him received. His name, Mahabali, means great strength, but his true strength was in his giving, his compassion, his unwavering commitment to his word. But the Devas, the gods, grew troubled. A demon king, however righteous, ruling all three worlds. They approached Lord Vishnu. The cosmic balance, they argued, was upset. Something must be done. Vishnu, who sees all and understands all, decided to act, but he would not act through violence or deception in the usual sense. He would use Mahabali's own virtue as the key. Vishnu took the form of Vamana, a small Brahmin boy, a dwarf. During one of Mahabali's great ceremonies, where he granted wishes to any who asked, this small Brahmin approached. "O great king," Vamana said, "I ask only for as much land as I can cover in 3 paces." Mahabali's guru, Shukracharya, recognized Vishnu in disguise and warned the king. "Do not grant this boon," he pleaded. "This is no ordinary Brahmin." But Mahabali had given his word, and his word was more precious to him than his kingdom, his power, even his life. "Even if he is Vishnu himself," Mahabali said, "I will not break my promise. My Dharma is my truth. My word is my bond." He granted the boon, and Vamana grew. In his first step, he covered the earth. In his second step, he covered the heavens. There was nowhere left for the third step, except upon Mahabali's own head. Without hesitation, without regret, Mahabali bowed his head. "Place your foot here, my lord," he said. "Let my promise be fulfilled." Vishnu was moved. Here was a devotee as great as any god, an Asura who embodied Dharma more perfectly than most devas. So Vishnu granted Mahabali a boon. "You shall have immortality," Vishnu said, "and more. Once a year you may return to visit your people, to see the land you loved, to be welcomed and honoured by those who remember your golden reign." And so in Kerala the festival of Onam celebrates his return. For 10 days people create flower carpets, prepare feasts, and welcome their beloved king Mahabali back home. It is said that during Onam, Mahabali walks among his people once more, seeing that they are happy, that they remember him with love. Mahabali now rules Sutala, a realm beneath the earth, given to him by Vishnu. But his true kingdom is in the hearts of those who honour truth above power, Dharma above gain, and who understand that the greatest strength lies in keeping one's word. Once a year, the righteous king returns, and in every promise kept, every truth honoured, every act of selfless giving, There is Mahabali, the eternal king, the demon who was more divine than the gods. And so we have met them, the 7 Chiranjivi, 7 immortals, 7 paths, 7 stories that echo through eternity. Hanuman, whose devotion knows no bounds. Parashurama, the warrior sage carrying the burden of justice. Vyasa, the eternal teacher preserving wisdom for all ages. Vibhishana, who chose righteousness over family. Kripacharya, the compassionate guru who teaches still. Ashwatthama, the cursed warrior wandering in pain. And Mahabali, the beloved king whose truth conquered even the gods. Each of them carries a lesson. Each of them shows us a different face of immortality, blessing and curse, reward and burden, glory and tragedy. They remind us that our choices echo beyond our lifetimes, that Dharma sometimes demands impossible sacrifices, that devotion, wisdom, truth, and compassion are the only things truly worth preserving forever. They walk among us still, these 7, perhaps not in forms we can see, but in principles we can live. In every act of devotion, there is Hanuman. In every word of wisdom, preserved and shared, there is Vyasa. In every promise kept at great cost, there is Mahabali. In every choice for righteousness over convenience, there is Vibhishana. And yes, in every consequence we face for our actions, there is Ashwatthama, reminding us that immortality without peace is no blessing at all. As you drift into sleep, carry these stories with you. Let them remind you that the truest immortality is not in living forever, but in living so well, so truthfully, so devotedly, that your essence continues long after you're gone. The 7 Chiranjivi are not just mythological beings. They are eternal principles, walking through time, showing us the way. May their stories bring you peace. May their wisdom guide your dreams. May you rest well, knowing that truth